People are far more likely to help you out, to accept your point of view, or to do what you ask if they like you and if you make them feel good. So, liking is one of the keys to influence and persuasion. So what can you do to make people like you, to make them feel good when you're around? The first way to make people feel good is to offer compliments. Sincere compliments, honestly given, really do make people feel good. In the same way, however, insincere compliments, designed simply to flatter, have the opposite effect. They're seen as manipulation. So make sure when you compliment somebody, you find something that is really worthy of compliment, and therefore they will recognize it. But also be culturally sensitive. There are some compliments that you can give in some cultures, in some societies, that really do not work and are seen as inappropriate or even disrespectful in others. The best way to give your compliments real impact is to make them specific. Instead of saying, "That was a good report," say something like, "What I particularly liked about that report was," and highlight one particular element that stood out for you. That way, the person that you're complimenting knows that you really did pay attention and feels that compliment to be far more sincere. And remember, on the flip side of this, people won't always like you if you always tell the truth. You don't need to lie, but sometimes it's best not to be candid about people's shortcomings if you want to build up their trust and liking. However, if they invite you to give feedback, then give good, honest, open feedback. Why not take a look at our course on feedback? I'll put a link in the description below. By the way, one of the greatest compliments you can give to people is to remember their names. Yet too many people say things like, "Oh, I don't remember names," as if it's something wired into their brain that they can't do it. For most of us, that's simply not true. Remembering names is a matter of respect and determination. I'll put a link in the description to a video on our sister channel on how you can remember names. The next thing that makes people feel good about you, even gets them to like you, is simple, plain familiarity. We like the things we see often. Unless I do something to upset you, then the more you get to know me, then the more you are likely to come to like me. So to influence somebody, you need to make yourself a regular part of either their workplace or their social landscape, or even both, if that's appropriate. Familiarity creates a sense of comfort and security, meaning we are more likely to take the advice of people that we see a lot and we are familiar with. We feel because we know them well, we can trust them, and we can therefore trust their advice, making them more influential. People who do a lot of business development through networking know that if they are going to make a sale, they need to build trust, and to build trust, they need to create familiarity. They therefore understand that it will sometimes take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 meetings before people start to really trust them. So building familiarity is an important part of the sales process for anyone in business development. The third really easy way to get people to like you and feel good about you is similarity, because people like people who are like themselves. And there's a related phrase, which is people like people who are like they want to be. So, in order to use similarity, then find ways to underline ways that you are similar to people around you. And one of the commonest ways we do this, of course, is with clothing. If you dress in a way that is similar to the people around you, then they will feel comfortable with you. On the other hand, if you want to show yourself to be slightly more influential, slightly more authoritative, you might go for the other option. People like people who are like they want to be. Dress half a notch up on the people around you so that you come across as being that person whom they aspire to be. Interestingly, some people do appear to dress very differently to the people around them. Are they trying to stand out? Are they rejecting the similarity? Well, no. By dressing differently to the people around them, they are usually choosing to dress in the way that a smaller subgroup of people dress. Yes, their attempts to be distinct from the wider population are more about fitting in with a narrower population. Now, a great way to find similarity between yourself and other people is to ask questions and to listen and look for points of similarity. And there's a great acronym that I like to use. It's FROGS. FROGS gives us 4 ways in which we might be similar to the people around us. The F stands for friends and also relatives. Are there any friends or relatives that you have in common? Second is R for reading and also viewing books, magazines, films, TV programs. Do you have any common interests from among those? If you and I like the same TV program, we've got something to discuss. We are similar in that way. O stands for organisations. Organisations that we've worked in, organisations that we've worked with, organisations that we've come across in our professional lives. When you've been in business for any length of time, it's likely that you will be able to find overlaps with some of the people in the room based on organisations. And G stands for geography. This is about places you lived, places you've worked. Perhaps it's places you've learned, like universities or schools. These provide massive points of similarity in many circumstances. And S stands for social, and critically, sports. Social activities, hobbies, pastimes, and of course sports are great points of similarity. Find 2 football fans who support the same team, or 2 baseball fans who support the same team, and you've found almost friends for life. Next up is sincere interest. FROGS, of course, gives us a list of safe topics to talk about where we might find an overlap, a similarity between ourselves and the people around us. But what people find particularly attractive is when we take a sincere interest in them and in the things that they are interested in. Therefore, the key is to ask questions about what people are interested in, what's important to them, and to listen carefully to their answers. Instead of talking about yourself, talk about them. Because to me, the most interesting topic of all is me and my interests. And if you talk about me and you talk about my interests, then I'm going to find you interesting. And because I find you interesting, I will come to like you and find you a positive and attractive person. Looking for points of similarity and taking a sincere interest in other people leads us to the final technique for making people like you and feel good about you. And this is rapport. However, rapport is a big topic on its own, and we'll cover it in a future video. If you're watching in real time, that'll be in about 6 weeks' time, but I'll link to it in the description below so that when it comes out, particularly if you're watching later on, you'll be able to go straight to it. Rapport is about that dance of feeling comfortable with the people around us. But fundamentally, it is built on similarity and a sincere interest, building a rapid sense of familiarity, and therefore making ourselves attractive to the other person. If you want to influence or persuade somebody, the first thing you have to do is to get them to like you, to make them feel good being around you. And we do that by paying them sincere compliments, by becoming familiar to them, by looking for points of similarity, and by offering sincere interest in the things they have to say. Please do give a thumbs up if you've learned from this video. I'll be creating loads more great management courses content for you. So please do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of it. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and in the meantime, keep learning.